Now, point number 5, or question number 5, come from Kyville Amberry. Kyville Amberry. I guess maybe I get it wrong. Please forgive me if I'm unable to mention your name properly. I don't think it's a local name or it's a usual name. And the question was taken from the video, Developing Your Abilities. It says that, what does meat eating have anything to do with one's spiritual progress? Because I see it to be a misconception in spirituality. I have to be very honest with you that meat eating has absolutely nothing to do with spirituality. I have to be very honest. I know it will create a lot of confusion because a lot of these Eastern religions is an integral part of their belief system, and I have practiced some of these Eastern religions before, which is a requirement. We call it a precept for your initiation. You have to stop eating meat. But I have to be very honest with you that meat eating actually does not. The fact that you don't eat meat doesn't make you a spiritual person. I know people who naturally are born and they don't like meat. How be it? There are things that negatively affect you that becomes kind of psychological impediment, not necessarily a blockade. For instance, when you are practicing spirituality, you are engaging in a practice of love to all existence. So if you're practicing love to all existence, respect to all life, things that have life form, they request for existence, they request for protection, they request for sex, they request for shelter, food, shelter, clothing, protection. These are things we request for, and these animals also request for those things. They desire those things. They desire to be protected. That's why if you want to kill them, they run away. They desire to have a place to lay their heads to sleep. They desire for sex because they do sex and they reproduce. They desire for food because they need to survive and strive and eat. So these are things that these animals will kill. The goats, the cows, and all those things, endeavor for those things. So more or less, apart from our spiritual ascension, we are on the same dimension with this entity, with these beings. When your child is at the age of, let's say, 8 months to 1 year, where he's crawling on both legs, he and the goat, there's no difference. They are all quadrupeds, animals that crawl on 4 feet. So how loving and how compassionate is it to always take knife and then slaughter your own child at the age of 1 year? That's the literal explanations I would give you for you to understand that though it does not really contribute, but it is also not acceptable, because you cannot be practicing love and be a cruel person. You get it? So that is why most religion tells you to stay off meat, so that you curb the cruelty which is meted out to the animal kingdom. Because we as human beings once were in the state of animal consciousness before we develop our individual discriminating selective intelligence at the age of 12 years, and we metamorphosize from the state of the animal consciousness to the state of the human consciousness. So the fact that you have metamorphosized from the animal consciousness to the human consciousness because you develop the IDSI intelligence doesn't mean those who have not developed the ideas, then you brutalize them. So it is not acceptable in spirituality, but actually it does not really play a role in your spiritual advancement and progress. But if you want to progress fast, I can tell you that when you stay off these things, it helps you progress faster. Because these are heavy loads that sit within your being, that when you sit to meditate, you need to shed off all those energy of blood inside your system so that you become more lighter for you to ascend. So you have all this heaviness of blood within your system, it's very difficult to ascend. And that is why they make it a requirement for spiritual practice. Not because it is something that is really a commandment, but it is benevolence, it is kindness, it's compassionate way of living. And then for you, it makes you lighter and makes you spend less time to ascend. So if you watch those who are butchers, they don't have compassion. Oh, they need misunderstanding kakra. But now was second who says yeah, because because you are all in that. When you kill an animal, he has the intestine, he has the gallbladder, he has the small intestine, he has that intestine, he has the heart, he has everything, he has the veins, he has everything that you have. The only difference between you and that animal is that you have a higher consciousness because you develop the IDSI ability. And that's the only difference. And that is the reason why they tell you that you should be benevolent person when it comes to spiritual practice so that it is easy to ascend. And I can tell you for a fact and for a truth that when you truly do self-realization and do true transcendental spiritual research, there is no way you can kill an animal. You can't. I'm talking from experience. You can't do that. Of course, your level of compassion will grow to the extent that anything that you are taking life from, you don't want to do it. You don't want to inflict pain on anything that feels the pain. You don't want to do it. Especially the ones that exist with us within our material space. You don't want to do it because they live with you in the same house. They normally even eat the crumbs of the same food you eat. They sleep in the same premises you sleep in. Why would you want? Because people are able to do that because they've not developed that their conscious awareness to develop that affinity to that dimension. But I can tell you when you start self-realization and you begin to do honest, sincere practice of the self-journey, there is no way. Even if you have 1,000 reasons and 1,000 opportunities, there's no way you can do that. You can't do that. And you feel sorry for any animal you see. I'll use the word crucified. Let me use the word crucified. Because that's how I see it. I see that all the animals we kill for all those Sunday and Christmas and Easter, they are crucifixion. You are crucifying another life. It doesn't affect your spiritual progress, but it's a price you have to pay for it. You understand? And the price is going to slow down your things. You understand? That is why Albert Einstein says that until there are no more slaughterhouses, human society will never cease having wars. You understand? Yeah, so please, that's the reason why they admonish us to stay away. And they are much more deeper. I'll come back to talk about the virtues. I didn't know this question was in there, but it's something I'm prepared to talk about. Some of the virtues you need to harness in order to ease down and to make you have a successful spiritual practice. And that is why a lot of people sit down and they want to meditate and they will be struggling with concentration, struggling with all this, because there are so many dense energy in their system which is fighting against them, which is struggling with them. You understand? And when they sit down, they need to shut off all this energy, because every blood is a life form. Every blood is a life form. That is why it goes through metamorphosis. That's how we go through metamorphosis. I don't know if you've seen a fetus picture of a goat. When you see a fetus picture of a goat or a fetus picture of a human being or a fetus picture of a chicken, there's no way you can see the difference until they tell you. You can't see the difference. Google it and see. We're all learning. Google it and see. Look for a very trimester picture of a fetus of a goat, a cow, a human being, and then a chicken. Then take it out, take the inscriptions and show it to someone that should show you the human being. It will be very difficult for him to show you the human being because they all look the same. You understand? That is why some spiritual houses tell you can take the fish, because when you take the fish, it's a different environment altogether. And it lives in a different life force environment and it has a different vibrational frequency altogether. But when it comes to the life forces that lives, breathe the air we breathe, because they breathe in oxygen as we breathe in oxygen, and they breathe out carbon dioxide as we produce carbon dioxide into the environment. So we are all within the sphere of dimension, but just that it's like university or be first year or fourth year. It doesn't make you better than that entity. That is the problem. So please, it is not really a requirement, but it's a necessity of somebody who says he's practicing love and is practicing kindness and is practicing compassion, to be able to live an exemplary life of what you are. You think when you pick the animal and you are going to kill the offspring, it doesn't feel it, they feel it. Sometimes I've gone into goat rearing before, and sometimes when you pick some of them, they cry, the offsprings cry. That's why when a goat goes out there and he has about 3 offsprings and then one gets missing, he'll go around shouting, meh, 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 calling the other one which is missing. Why do you think they do that? Just like when your child is missing, you go around going house to house, asking if they've seen such a child. And you go to the police station looking for that child. Likewise, when the goat's child is missing, he goes around looking for it. So please, it's not really a requirement. It's not a misconception I thought you put the name because I see it to be a misconception in spirituality. It is not really a misconception, but it is how they package it that makes it appear that it's a misconception. It's not a misconception. It is in its right place. You understand? It is in its right place, but the clarity is not properly given. So please, that is what it is when it comes to meat consumption. We're going to do a whole video on some of the virtues you need to have in order to have a successful spiritual practice. And that is why a lot of people are not having experiences. You come and then you go to different spiritual houses, different spiritual matters, say, your life patterns and the kind of consumptions that creates toxins in your system. And also, I want to say emphatically clear that apart from the fact that it's really that's not disrupt, you are not designed to take meat in the first place. So it's not even a question for us even to talk about. Our human anatomy, our human system is not designed as a carnivorous system. So meat consumption is not part of our life pattern. By the intelligences of our creation, we are not supposed to eat meat. That's how we are designed. That's why we have flat molars. We don't have fangs. We don't have fangs to tear meat like the tigers and the lions have fangs to tear meat. They have sharp molars to crack bones. We don't have sharp molars. We don't have fangs. We have longer intestine structure because our intestine is used to, our teeth is meant to grind and our intestine is meant to process herbs. So we are not designed to eat meat by our anatomy. If you take all the herbivorous anatomy and you take the human anatomy is purely an herbivorous anatomy. That is why all our nutrients we need to survive and to live a healthy life, it is plant-based. So even the question of whether it's intolerant is not here. Now let's tackle it from even the non-physical perspective. It is a no-go area. And that is why there's a lot of, during the Industrial Revolution, they make a concerted effort to deceive us that we need animal protein. So that the more we eat animal protein, we develop all issues with hormonal imbalances and all that. Then we to create high levels of toxin buildup. Then we become sick to create market for the medical industry. It's a well thought out thing. Because one of the things that makes us sick most in our life is meat consumption. Because it's the highest form of building toxins in our system. And the only thing that makes us sick is when you have toxin buildup in our system. That is why when you constipate over a period of time, you begin to have headache. When you take in a lot of alcohol, which is an intoxicant, you begin to have hangovers. So anything that builds toxins in your system begins to affect your system negatively and adversely. Because the toxin buildup is not what your body needs. And that is why somebody can get sick. At a certain point of his life, they tell you that stop taking meat. The same doctor that tells you to eat meat for animal protein tells you to stop taking meat. What our body actually needs is minerals. That's what our body needs. But our body is based on electromagnetic frequency. So what we need is minerals and vitamins. You understand? So they built all this protein, animal protein thing and all those things just to elude us, to create toxins in our system, to make us sick, so that we become a product of exploitation for the medical industry. If not so, and you're not getting sick, how would the medical industry make money? So it's a well thought out thing. So don't let that meeting get into your head. It is not something that we are designed to take. We go to question number 6. It's from Prince Annan, and it's from the video lecture Karma. It's from Prince Annan from the video lecture Karma. Prince Annan want to know, please say, you said everything is our creation. Yes, I said so. In relation to karma, we are able to make changes. So why is there judgment and punishment? Who is judging who and who is punishing who? Very, very intelligent question. We are our own creation. Whatever we are experiencing is our own creation. But don't forget that there is a purpose. There's an intelligence for our existence. And this intelligence for our existence fulfills a purpose. And when that purpose is defied, it's not fulfilled, then you would regret for not fulfilling that purpose when you come to the realization that this is the purpose why you came on earth. For instance, When you go to the university, you are sent to the university for a purpose. But on the university, whatever you're doing in the university is for your own creation. It's your own creation. Nobody's creating it for you. You are creating whatever life you're enjoying. If you want to go to the club, you go to the club. If you want to have a lot of girlfriends, you have a lot of girlfriends. If you decide not to learn, you decided not to learn. If you decide to learn, you decided to learn. If you decided to stay on campus, you decide not to stay on campus. Whatever life you have on that university campus is your own creation. But at the end of the final year, and you don't come out with a degree, or you had a third class, then it's your own regret. And that regret becomes your punishment because you never forgive yourself for not living up to that expectation. So there's no God somewhere judging you, or there's no God somewhere punishing you. You are your own punisher and you are your own judge. Well, at the time of your ascension, when you leave this physical body, all the life you've lived on earth would play back to you in a split of a second. And once you're unsatisfied with the life you are living, you condemn yourself. And you are gravitated towards that particular effect of your own regrets. And that gravitation towards your regret becomes your punishment. So you should be conscious of what you are creating. You should be self-aware of your creation and the consequential effect of your creation. If your creation is not in line with your purpose and your destiny, then you have a problem. And that is why we have a lot of people having problems, because majority of the people have not been able to find their purpose, have not been able to find the reason why they exist. They have not been able to realize themselves. And as long as you have not been able to attain these three dimensions of your existence, you're going to have your own punishment, which is your own creation. But the punishment is your own creation. The judgment is your own creation. Because they are as a result of the things you did whilst you are within the material space, which is not in consonance and which is not in alignment and in compliance to what you chose to come and do. So there is punishment. Don't forget that. And there is judgment. But it is not the kind of judgment you understand from the material world. That's what I'm saying. That's what I said in the earlier question, that in answering my earlier questions, I think number 3 or 4, that the problem we have is words. We are using words to try to explain things within our material space. You understand? But actually, it's not the words, but it's the state of essence. It's what actually what makes up what it is. But the words, yes, we need the words to describe it so that we can communicate. So the word judgment is judgment because what is judgment? Judgment is basically when you are brought to an account of how you have done something or how something has been executed, whether it is in line with what is right or it is in line with what is wrong. And where it is in line with what is right, you are exonerated. When it is in line with what is wrong, then you are found culpable. Then you have your own punishment. That is our concept of judgment within the material space. But in the non-material space, the concept of judgment is when you yourself, after going through your own life expeditions on earth and how you live your life, and upon your ascension, when you look back and you see all the life you've led on earth and you are not satisfied with it, you have regrets, then you judge yourself already. And then once you have your regret, you magnetize the consequential effect of that regret that you have, and that is called punishment. So all people who are armed robbers or all people who are murderers will have the regret of murder. And once they have the regret of murder, they attract the consequential effect of regretting of their murders. And so that's why they are gravitated towards the same dimension of frequency within the underworld space. And where there's gnashing of teeth and there's anguish and pain. People say that, okay, fine, the body that feels pains is dead and gone, so how do you feel the pain? But what they don't realize is that actually the body does not feel pain. What actually feels the pain is your soul, the composition of your energy, ego, and intellect. It is that feels the pain. And that is why when you are dead and your mortal remains are there, when they use a knife or a pin to poke your mortal bodies, you don't shake, you don't feel, but the mortal body doesn't feel the pain. Well, that which feels the pain actually has exited. That's why the mortal remains, when you poke it with a knife, it doesn't feel no pain. So actually, what makes you feel the pain is not this body. So if people are arguing the fact that, oh, the body that feels pain, you are dead and gone, it's a gross display of ignorance. They don't even understand existence in the first place. And that is why they will build the argument that the body that feels pain is dead and is gone to the soil. So what is the punishment or the concept of hell for? They don't understand it, and they are misleading people. It's a doctrine from the pit of hell to indoctrinate people. So I'm telling you, that which you feel pain is not this physical body. Even when you're in coma and then they poke you with knife, you don't feel it. Because it's not the body that feels pain. It is the soul, which is the ego, the energy, your ego, and then your intellect that feels the pain. And that three comes together to form your personality. And that is why they say it is the soul that shall be judged. The self, which is the spirit, which is the Christ within you, it's not judged because it's a pure essence. But it is the soul that which manifested as a conscious living soul. That is where you have the feeling. That is where you get a pain from. So when you die and you exit the physical body, you will still feel pain. No doubt about it. You will still feel pain. No doubt about it. So whether you believe it or not, it will not change the fact that you still feel pain. There have been spiritual exercises that have been conducted that I am present, that people who have died many years, their souls are invoked and they tell you the painful situation they are going through as a result of how they maltreated a wife or a friend or lived some kind of cruel life. And they ask that they should go and appease those people so that they will have a sound mind. So what feels pains is not this body. If this body feels pain, then when somebody is being cremated, the person should be jumping and be shaking. Because that which pain is gone. That's why when they put you in fire, you don't feel nothing. That which feels the real pain is gone. It's going to face the real life existence, whether it's going to be a good life or a bad life, it's going to be a painful life or a joyful life. It's going to face it over there in that dimension of existence. So whether you believe or not, there is a higher dimension of pure joy, happiness, bliss, tranquility, inner contentment. That which some people call it heaven. And then there's a place of anguish, pain, gnashing of teeth. You cannot imagine what it is. And that is what some people call it hell. Whether you believe it or not, I am telling you it exists. You will experience it. When you exit the physical body, you will experience it. They talk to you about reincarnation, but they don't tell you where that part of your soul that will be reincarnated would be in awaiting reincarnation. They don't tell you that. But I will tell you the truth. The truth is when you die, when you ascend the physical body, and you don't live a life worthy in alliance with the laws of the universe and the laws of the Creator, your soul goes for punishment, awaiting for the next reincarnation. And when you live a life which is in alliance with the law of love, compassion, forgiveness, kindness, non-judgmentalism, humbleness, respect for all life and existence, your soul goes to a higher dimension of inner bliss, contentment, happiness, and tranquility, awaiting for a higher reincarnation into this physical consciousness so that you continue your good days. But I can promise you without doubt, in my mind, in my soul, and in my spirit, that those places of punishment and joy exist. I'm not telling you because a Bible told me, or a Quran told me, or Bhagavad Gita. I am telling you my own experience of what I have meditated and I have seen in that dimension. It exists. So it is better for you to shine away from that crooked teaching which is coming from the pit of hell, to mislead and to elude people, to delusion people into that agonizing state of being before their reincarnation and trapping people within that circle. It's better you shift away from it. That is my only genuine, honest advice to you. Begin to live a life of compassion, unconditional love, non-judgmentalism, humility, forgiveness, respect to all life, and then truthfulness. Live with these 7 virtues. I'll take time to treat these 7 virtues and then go into details and explain it. Live with these 7 virtues and then get yourself structured for a higher incarnation, please. Okay, that is for Prince Anand. No, that is for... No, yeah, that's for Prince Anand. Question number 7 is from Godfred. Question number 7 is from Godfred. And it's extracted from a video called Self-Realization. It says that what is the difference between the self, the Christ, and the spirit of man? They are the same thing. It's just, as I told you, it's just words. You understand? I choose to call it self because it's more of a generic term which is not synonymous to Christianity, because the Christ is synonymous to Christianity. And once I begin to use the word Christ, other people from, let's say, the Islamic sect and then other religious entities may not want to listen to what I have to say, but it is the same thing. It is one and the same thing. That which gives effulgence to our existence is the self. In Christianity, we call it Christ. Other religions call it the spirit of man. When you go to the instant religion, they call it the spirit of man or the spirit of human being. It's one and the same thing with different identity. You understand? Even in the Bible, the New Testament call it Christ and the Old Testament call it the breath of life. Just in the same one Bible. So it's one and the same thing. That which gives us the ability to become conscious soul is what we are talking about. We have called it different names, given it different identity to aid in our communication as human beings. But it is the same one single thing that gives us the mortal and effulgence to become a living soul or a conscious soul. We call it the breath of life. That is why everybody breathes. If you don't breathe, you will die. That's the practical truth. You understand? That is why I like the Bible's description in the Old Testament, because the breath of life. It is the breath of life, and it's a proof that everybody breathes. Not everybody sees a spirit that will say that it is true. They say the breath of life, the breath that gives us life. And we are all alive, and we are breathing to be alive. So that is it. It's the same thing we call the Christ and whatever it is. So that is for Godfred. It's one and the same thing, please. From my own experience and from my understanding and from my opinion, it is one and the same thing, giving different identity. Number 8, from Abigail, also from self-realization video. Abigail asks, you spoke about light and sound. Say, how does one experience this light and sound? And is it really the ultimate in spirituality? I can tell you without doubt it's the ultimate. All other form of spirituality is beneath the light and the sound. Even science proves it. That from matter to molecules to atom to electrons down to neutrons and protons, there is nothing. That nothing, quantum physics has called that nothing sound. You understand? It said that where conventional science is that there is nothing. Now quantum physics has advanced in technology and has realized that that nothingness, there is a sound vibration in that nothingness. So everything within material space, from the first dimension to the last dimension, generates from the sound frequency. And we, through meditation, has gone beyond the sound to know that there's an intelligence that informs the sound pattern. And that intelligence is what we call the light. So beneath the neutrons and then the protons is the sound and the light frequency. And out of this sound and light frequency, all other things you could ever conceive of manifest. So I tell you on authority, it is the highest. There is none higher than that. Nevertheless, because the various dimensions are compositions of the sound and the light frequencies, the intelligence of the sound frequency that is having it formed. So in each dimension, there is a minute existence of that sound frequency and that light frequency. So each dimension that you go, you have a feel of the light and you have a feel of the sound. Each dimension you feel of that, But at the ultimate and at the apex of all existence is this ultimate light and sound frequency. And that ultimate light and sound frequency, if it is experienced outside, is the inferior one. When it is experienced inside, is the ultimate. And that is why when I am talking about self-realization, I tell you that you experience the light and sound frequency inside. It's not outside. And that is the ultimate. There's nothing beyond that. And in your final experience, that is the ultimate. But in your final experience, you can transcend the light and sound frequency to the nothingness, absolute void, where there's no light and there's no sound. We call it absolute void. In the beginning, the earth was null and void, and God was within the void before he said, let there be light. So when God was in the void, there was no word, so there was no sound. and there was no light created. So in the void, there was a sound came, and a light was created. So there's another step beyond the light and sound, which is when you transcend the light and sound, you enter into the region of the void, absolute nothingness. And you also can enter into the region of the void with absolute emptiness. You can go into the void with holding something inside. You can go into the void with thought. You can go into the void with emotions. You can go into the void with actions. You go into the void with absolute nothingness. So I can tell you on authority, I can beat my chest and tell you on authority beyond doubt that what we are talking about, as long as this present incarnation is concerned, this first generation spirituality is concerned, there's no spirituality on this earth plane now which is higher than what we are talking about. It is the highest. Number 9 is a question from Joe. And Joe asks the question from the video entitled Developing Your Abilities. He asks a very intelligent question. Joe says that what is the difference between the activation of the third eye and clairvoyance? It's a topic I really need to talk about because there's a gross misconception. You see, because we are given in the third eye, people think that it's like an eye that we see. But it's not an eye. Actually, we call it third eye, but it's a gland. And that gland is the third brain. What you call the third eye is a gland. That gland, in science, we call it the pineal gland. And there's a clear difference between the pineal gland and clairvoyantic abilities. The clairvoyance is having a sixth sense of your ability to perceive with beyond this physical eye, but not necessarily in the third dimension, in the third eye, or the pineal gland is activated. Somebody can have a clairvoyantic ability, which is an extrasensory perception, but still not have his third eye activated or his pineal gland activated. And somebody can have his pineal gland activated and still not have clairvoyance abilities. So there are two different things. A lot of men of God, prophetic men of God, they can see visions, tell you things, but it doesn't mean they have their third eye activated. And I know a lot of people too who have their third eye activated, they have their pineal gland activated, and yet they don't have clairvoyantic abilities. Because clairvoyantic abilities are higher sense perception, they are extrasensory perception, which are part of that lower abilities we can be like clairvoyance, clairaudience, telekinesis, precognition, postcognition, recognition, and all those things. There's the ability to see somebody and remember the person. We call it recognition. It's an unusual ability. It's not an ordinary ability. And that's why somebody can see somebody for the first time and he sees in the next and cannot recognize the person. But you can see somebody for the first time and it takes 1,000 years and then you see the person and you can recognize the person because you have a stronger cognitive abilities. That's why somebody can read a book and then forget the content of the book. And somebody can read the same book and then reproduce the content of the book because that person has a higher cognitive abilities. These are all extrasensory abilities. So when you have a weaker extrasensory abilities, then you operate within the sense abilities. With the sense abilities, it deals with the 5 senses. We know smell, touch, sight, and feeling, and all those. Those are the 5 sense ability. And above the 5 senses ability, we have what we call the extrasensory ability, from the word extra, sense, a little bit higher than our 5 senses. And that is where the clairvoyance, clairaudience, telekinesis, precognition, recognition, precognition comes in. Telekinesis comes in. Then above the extrasensory abilities, then we have the spiritual activation of yourself, which is from the third eye onwards. So they are different things altogether. Then number 10 is from Kwesi. And his question was derived from the video titled The Benefit of Self-Realization. And Kwesi seeks to ask. Kwesi says that, why do you say our forefathers' knowledge was terrestrial, but not extraterrestrial? Because through some ancient books, We know our forefathers in Kemet and Mali received knowledge above this plane. Yes, I said, if I really remember what I said that some of our forefathers, the knowledge that they have was terrestrial intelligences, and I talk about the elemental beings, and I thought the knowledge that we acquire from these elemental beings, the herbs and all those things, they are terrestrial intelligences. And I remember saying that there's that extraterrestrial intelligence to where when you go to Egypt, they help build the pyramids and all those things. So I don't know where it's coming from. Maybe you take time and listen to the video very well, or listen to the lecture very well, because I acknowledge the fact that it's the extraterrestrials that help our forefathers in Egypt to be able to build up the pyramids and different civilizations that they had as at the time. And then yes, when I talked about the terrestrial knowledge, I was talking specifically in relation to Ghana, not to the whole of African civilization. I'm talking specifically in relation to Ghana, that what we were doing were more terrestrial oriented. So it was within the four elemental knowledge that we acquired the knowledge from. How be it, my argument is that we've gone even past the extraterrestrial intelligence. We have a program we are going to do as part of the training sessions, which is exploring the extraterrestrial intelligences. It's there, but that's not the ultimate. We've gone past the extraterrestrial intelligence. I don't know why it should really bother you, Kwesi. We've gone back past the extraterrestrial intelligence. People have gone to higher galaxies beyond the extraterrestrial intelligence galaxies. You understand? So if you want even to experience the extraterrestrial intelligence, I can help you do that. I put you on a 6-week program. They begin to visit you inside. You understand? But it's still inferior. The intelligences are very, very inferior. And that is why most of the intelligences they bring to us does not fit within our 4 elemental space. So it's giving us a lot of side effects. Tell me one intelligence that has come from those extraterrestrial dimension that has no side effect within our material space. They are not a perfect intelligence. And that's what I'm trying to let you know. There's a perfect intelligence that we can access beyond the extraterrestrial intelligence. That's entering into the celestial intelligence. Because you have the terrestrial intelligence, you have the extraterrestrial intelligence, and you have the celestial intelligence. And I am talking about we being able to enter into the celestial intelligence and beyond, not the extraterrestrial intelligence. Yes, which all practice. Our practice sometimes have contact with them through meditation. There's a particular system of protocol you use, and then you either visit their dimensions or they visit your dimension within your space you create through the various mantra protocols that you use. For our 6 weeks, you go back and forth, a week, go back to the first mantra, go back and forth, and then you can begin to establish contact with those intelligences. They are there. I'm not saying they are not there. They are there. It's something that I've experienced firsthand, so I know they are there. You are talking about books, but I'm talking about my own experiences. They are there. We have benevolent extraterrestrial intelligences, and you have malevolent malefic extraterrestrial intelligence, which are very crude and mean people. Just like we have human beings that are very crude and mean, and we have very kind and compassionate human beings. So they are there. They are there. They are those who are there to teach. They love human civilizations, and there are those who feel that we are very primitive people and they need to get rid of us and all those things. Because why? Because they feel you are so much endowed with so much potential. What we have, they don't have 50% of that. The only well-versed in technology, they advance in technology. That's all. You get what I'm saying? But we have so much so that we can even go to the extent of realizing our God nature, which they cannot. Because we can go to the extent of the celestial dimension. They cannot go to that celestial dimension. They're only limited to their dimension and below. But we can come from that terrestrial dimension, go through the various astral dimensions, go through the extraterrestrial dimension, go to the celestial dimension, and go to the source of all existence. So the jealous are, and they feel we have all these abilities and we are still living a primitive life. And instead of exploring these abilities for love and expansion of our consciousness and our awareness and our planet, we are losing it in a very savage way to destroy one another. And that's why those malefic ones who are very impatient want to come to our space and invade our space. And the benevolent ones also feel no, they would help us. With time, we are going to come to that realization because they see what we have, they see what you are made up of. So don't really bother yourself with all this extraterrestrial propagandist ideology that they are propounding. It's not really, 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 really anything so profound. No. I'm talking because of my own first-hand information. It's not really, really profound. They are very profound in terms of technology, and that's it. It ends there. It ends there. Theirs is only profound technology. It ends there. I can tell you for a fact, it ends there. But we can go far beyond that. We can adopt their technology, but they cannot adopt our technologies because they are either two-dimensional beings or three-dimensional beings. Sorry, two elemental beings or one elemental being. At most, the most advanced benevolent ones are three elemental beings. But we have more than 4 elemental constitution. So basically, we know what you are talking about. It's not that, yeah. So you see, the problem is when you depend too much on books, you'll be deceived. When you depend too much on people's writings, you'll be deceived because he is giving you a historical antecedents of what he may have experienced. He may not even record it properly. He may even want to hide the truth and then make money out of it. So he writes the book and he writes in such a way that he's going to make money out of it. So we always say that if you really want to ascertain truth, experience the truth firsthand and stop about book matter. Because book has never brought anybody enlightenment. They serve as a guide as we journey. They kind of mentor us as we journey because these are people's experiences. They're putting it in documentation and writing. They help along the line. But in the real realization, we really don't need them. Because the truth can only be realized in experiencing. That is why on the part of true spirituality, we don't urge people to just believe and have hope. We don't do that. In true spiritual practice, we make people know by experiencing firsthand of what the people are told. When I tell you that there's a divine light inside, I make you experience that divine light firsthand. If I tell you that there's a divine sun, you experience that divine sun firsthand. Then you are taught how to use that divine light and sound to other dimensions, to harness other technologies and all those things. They are their life. So, Brakwesi, don't be worried too much. Don't be agitated. There's nothing wrong letting you know the truth. And don't be agitated. I said that our forefathers' knowledge was terrestrial. It is not really terrestrial. Our forefathers, some had terrestrial intelligence knowledge, and some have extraterrestrial intelligence knowledge. I guess you're happy now. Yes. So, thank you so much. I think I would end it on this. We'll take them session by session gradually so that we'll be attending to those questions. That will be of a collective benefit for everybody. So if you ask a question and it's not answered on the platform, that means that we've jotted it down because your question is so important and viable that it has to benefit all other audience. So that's why we've not answered. We'll make a video out of it and then we'll answer it so that all audience will benefit from that intelligent question. Thank you so much. And it's my prayer that you would find your space, find the right path, and do the right thing. There are so many things over the internet right now that are deceiving people and misleading people, and they are all working for Maya. They are all working for the world of gross deception, of false light. They present it as light. Even the Bible says that for the angel of darkness will come to you as an angel of light. So there's a lot of false light which is there. So all these archons creating false lights, the Bible also is written about them already. That angel of darkness, which other religions, Bible calls it angel of darkness, but other religion calls it archons and all those things. He said, for they will come to you as an angel of light, presenting a false light to you, to deceive you, to keep you in that circle of reincarnation. So I'll advise you to be careful with what you follow and what you perceive. Find the truth as much as you can. And when you find the truth, be ready to do anything to grasp it, because that is the only thing that will liberate you at the time of your ascension. God bless you and stay blessed. Thank you.